So this morning, we have a wonderful musician here in person with us. Woo! And that is Jennifer Berezin. So I want to tell you a little bit about her. She is a unique blend, singer, songwriter, producer, and activist. Her music has been shaped by her lifelong environmental concerns, interest in the women's and justice movements, as well as her Buddhist practice. And her approach to music as a transformative experiences helps to create rapport with audiences of all sizes and descriptions. She is a leading voice in the field of music and healing. She's an acclaimed producer of large-scale, multicultural, ecstatic musical events. Doesn't that sound good? She's also a professor at the California Institute of Integral Studies, and she performs and teaches throughout the world. Her newest album, Belonging, is now available, and you can find out more at jenniferberezin.com. So please help me welcome Jennifer Berezin.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here with you in person, and hello everyone out wherever you are joining us from today. This is a beautiful song that my friend Melanie DeMore wrote that she sings all over the world with people. So I hope you'll join me. Here's the chorus. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. So then this is an echo part. It goes like this. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eye. Lift up your eye. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. Oh, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Oh, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. Well, I'm scared too. Yes, I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. 'Cause you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Yes, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead. Sing it out. Oh, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Yes, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love.
Woo! All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, everybody. You may be seated. And I want to invite you to go ahead and silence your cell phone now so that it won't be disturbing you or anybody else during our celebration service this morning. This is your time to begin to become quiet and centered And our morning prayer practitioner, Leslie Giannetti, is going to come up and do the opening for us. But as she does that, I want to invite you to, as you close your eyes to go within, to send your love energy out into the room so that there are no empty seats, because every space, from the floor to the ceiling to the walls to the windows to front to back, is filled with loving presence. We say that the body is the temple of spirit, right? But actually, there is no place that isn't. So in or out of the body, it's the temple of spirit, and here we are. So fill it with your love. Leslie.
So just turning within to the sacred center at the heart of each one, which is the heart of the universe, which is the rhythm of life itself, the one infinite life. I bring my full attention to this one power and one presence which moves upon itself and creates out of itself. And as it moves, it continues to recreate everything. It expands the universe, it keeps the planets in their orbit, it turns the earth on its axis, and it is the breath within each one. It is the life force within each one, which inspires and invigorates and rejuvenates. So I speak my word, and I claim an opening in consciousness now for a deep and resonant realization of the life within, the magnificent life which is always assimilating itself through each one. It's calling each one home to the deepest nature, to the greatest expansive sweep of wisdom and knowingness. It is always operating for the greater good. Even in this moment, it is the power that breathes the breath. And I further claim for each one a resonant realization that in this room is all the power and presence of the infinite life. It is divine love. And accepting divine love as the power within results in a deep, resonant realization of unity consciousness, of oneness, which is the exalted divine inheritance of each one, for absolutely perfect divine order unfolding every place and every plane. So I celebrate the life within each one right now, which is already operating for the greater good, bringing each one into its fullness of wholeness and home. And I release my word now to the law of mind, which accepts my word as a brand new creation, ready to be made manifest for the highest possible good. And so it is. Amen.
Leslie. Come on up, Jennifer.
One breath, one breath, one breath at a time. One breath at a time. Where are you now? I've come to find you, to wake you slowly, gently remind you, a ringing bell, a flickering light, growing brighter in the night. One breath at a time. One breath safely to the other side. One breath at a time. One breath, one breath at a time. One breath at a time. In the silent dawn, I will speak your name. When this world is gone, tell me what will remain. You're the sky that holds, the moon that wanes, the tumbling stars, the falling rain. One breath at a time. 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 One breath at a time.
Thank you, Jennifer. A few days ago, it was Veterans Day. And I didn't say anything about it last Sunday, but I want to say something about it this morning. If you served in the military at any time, would you please stand? Oh, we have no veterans at all today? Julie, all right, woo! And the guys are in the kitchen. Some of them probably are on that too. They're preparing the brunch, so they're busy in the kitchen. Some of the fellas. Thank you for your service, everybody. Yeah. So this year we're talking about living from the heart of wonder, and I think there's almost nothing else that we can do, really. There are so many things that surprise us. So many things we're not ready for. I was reading a book yesterday about conscious leadership. And one of the things it talks about is taking radical responsibility for everything that happens in your own life, being willing to be accountable for those things that happen. And what I know about that is that when we start to do that, it lets blame go. It starts to release shame and guilt. You just acknowledge what's happened, and then the question becomes, what's next? Or what can we learn from this? What will help us go forward from here? And one of the points that's made in the book is that no matter what is happening, it is a specifically designed curriculum for you or for me. Whatever is happening, there are no accidents, nothing happens randomly. Everything is coming to us to support us, assist us to grow, help us to learn. And I think if we can look at the occurrences of our lives from that perspective, it's helpful, particularly when our lives are uncomfortable or difficult. We may not feel the truth of that, but we can remind ourselves that that's going on. So this month, we're talking about coming home to our heart, coming home to our heart. And last week, I talked a little bit about how we can get through the trauma of just living this. We lose pieces of ourselves. And what I want to ask us this morning is, where is our true home? So I want you to think back to the first place you ever lived when you were tiny, whatever you can remember. There may have been a place you lived before you actually remember, but remember the first place you ever lived. Now, when we think back to our childhood, to the first place we ever lived, that's what we're generally referring to, or the longest place we ever lived when we were kids. That's generally a place we refer to as home. Well, back home, my mother used to say, back home we used to do blah, 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 because she was born and raised on a farm in Nebraska. That was back home, even though she hadn't lived in Nebraska since she was in her 30s. She lived 50 years away from Nebraska. That was back home. You know what I'm saying here? Yeah. So when I think about home where I grew up, I know exactly where that is, even though more of my life has been lived away from there now. So home becomes something bigger than that original idea. When we're looking at the home of our heart, we sometimes find that part of that home is our memories, the things we think about and remember from when we were little kids, and also the things that we remember and apply to our own kids and grandkids and whatever as they're growing up. So this woman says, I did not know for sure if my granddaughter, my little granddaughter, had learned all her colors yet. So I decided to test her by asking her, what color is this? What color is this? And she would answer me, and she was correct every single time. And I was really enjoying the game, so I kept on with it for a while, this gal says. And then at a certain point, my granddaughter was tired of the game, and she got up to leave and go on. And she turned to me and she said, Grandma, I think you should try and figure out some of these for yourself. The logic that we apply when we're kids is looking through a lens very different than the logic we apply after we're grown. And the reflection of that tickling us as adults is a reflection of the time that we were that innocent and we were interpreting the world in a particular way. And it always tickles adults to see how kids operate and think and make those kinds of decisions. So last week, when I talked about retrieving our souls or retrieving our hearts, inviting them home, I was talking about how in the process of defending ourselves and learning how to survive and live our lives, we sometimes, certain parts of us kind of go dormant in order to help us cope with what's going on a little bit better so that we're not overwhelmed. And when we become adults, there's a time in our lives when it could be useful for us to recall those lost parts. So in order to do that, we have to become a safe place for those parts of us to return to. Generally speaking, we have somehow, I don't want to use the word betrayed exactly because that's a little bit heavy, but in a way we have pushed them aside. And if we really want to be reintegrated, we have to be able to welcome them back and to be a safe place for them to come back to. And to do that, we have to make certain agreements. And those agreements have to do with our changing the way we do certain things. So we've learned to cope in a particular way, and it's served us reasonably well. But at a certain point, if we want to reintegrate ourselves, it doesn't really work for us to keep on doing what we've been doing. Maybe we've been very busy pleasing people. I know that was always one of mine. Everybody had to like me. Everybody had to approve of me, even if I didn't like and approve of them. And I've told stories about that in the past I won't go into this morning. And the change rather needed to be, do I approve of me? Do I like me? Am I comfortable with who I am? And then, can I detach from everybody else's opinion in order to be a safer, more grounded, healthier place myself? And to keep that agreement is something that doesn't happen once. So when we make these agreements with parts of ourselves who are calling back home again, we need to take those agreements seriously. We really have to mean them, or we will lose those aspects of ourselves again. They don't just hang around because it seems like a good idea to be integrated. In fact, some shamans who do soul retrieval tell us that when they go to find those lost bits, they're pretty reluctant to come back because we've, left them adrift for quite a while. Clarice Spector, who is a Brazilian novelist, said, "Everything began with a yes. One molecule said yes to another molecule, and life was born." So when we're thinking about this and thinking about home, we might ask ourselves, what is home, or how do I know when I'm home? And it's more than just thinking back to where I started, as a kid. Ernest Holmes, our founder, says the manifest universe, everything in form, is the body of God. And I would say, I think that's true, but also I think there's plenty of God that isn't in form. There's an infinite amount beyond what's in form. That's just what we can see. And similarly, this manifest form is a body that temporarily, we use. But it isn't all of us. And when we go on, it will go and, return to the earth. But it isn't all of us. We're bigger than that. So when I said fill the room up with your love, I was talking about expanding your sense of self to being larger than the person sitting in the chair, to extending it out to the people in front and behind you and on the sides of you with that kind of love, extending welcoming out to everybody that will walk into this room at some point. Molly Remmer said, "There's more than enough time to weave strands of the ordinary into your own holy text. You are more than you know, less lost than you feel, and whole in your center." So perhaps it isn't so much that those pieces of us have gotten lost and need to be retrieved, as that they have gone dormant within us, and in order to awaken them back to our wholeness, we have to become home. We could say, well, is home a place? Is it an actual physical place? I have a place where I live, and I call that home. But if I count up all the homes I've had in my life, everywhere that I've lived, there have been a lot of them. And if I add in places that I've traveled to, where I've been there for a week or more, what of all those places was home to me? Well, some of them felt homier than others. And we can feel that when we go to visit friends or when we're in this kind of a space. This morning, this feels less homey to me because it feels cold, So we experience changes and we experience adaptations to these things. So home is not really a place. It could be an experience as well as a place. So I go someplace where I feel welcome, I feel like I belong, it feels like home. Yes? And so that becomes a part of it. Sometimes it's a place. It can be an experience. Is it a feeling? Yeah, I would say so. The feeling of this is where I belong. This is where I relate. My piece of the puzzle fits in here. I feel comfortable. I relate to the people and what they feel and think and believe in this family, in this neighborhood, in this country, whatever it might be. Richard Nelson wrote about this feeling when he said, "I've often thought of the forest as a living cathedral, but this might diminish what it truly is. The forest is not merely an expression or a representation of sacredness, nor a place to invoke the sacred. The forest is sacredness itself. Nature is not merely created by God, nature is God. Whoever moves within the forest can partake directly of sacredness, experience sacredness with their entire body, breathe sacredness and contain it within themselves. Drink the sacred water as a living communion. Bury their feet in sacredness. Touch the living branch and feel the sacredness. Open their eyes and witness the burning beauty of sacredness." So we're really saying that home is the inner sanctuary of God. Now, as I said earlier, we may be the temple of the Spirit. It's always with us everywhere we go, but we're also in the temple of the Spirit because, truthfully, where are you going to go to get out of the presence of God? That's infinite. You can't get out. It's everywhere always, so there's no boundary to it whatsoever. But the piece of it that we carry with our awareness, with our sense of identity, we can go within into that and build for ourselves an experience of a living sanctuary of sacredness. So it's the inner sanctuary of God that we're bringing forward into this recognition. And when we create this inner sanctuary, what is that? It's not necessarily a place where we're all alone. We can welcome in the wise ones who aren't in form, our ancestors, our angels, our spirit guides, our spirit animals, our whoever, whatever, wherever, people that have passed on that we admired or thought highly of, whether we knew them or not. We might invite into that sacred inner sanctuary people who have not passed on, but we want to invite their spirit, their energy, their enthusiasm, their qualities that we want more of. We might invite that into our inner sacred space. And we can create and envision a place that we go into in our minds and hearts that feels beautiful and rich and peaceful. And it's a place that we can go to rest in the beauty that's there. You know, I love John O'Donohue, and he said, "The great law of life is to be yourself." Though this axiom sounds simple, it's often a difficult task. To be yourself, you have to learn how to become the person you were dreamed to be. Each person has a unique destiny. To be born is to be chosen. There is something special that each of us has to do in this world. If someone else could do it, they would be here and not us. One of the fascinating questions is to decipher what one's destiny is. At the heart of each destiny is hidden a unique life calling. What are you called to do? In old-fashioned language, what is your vocation in life? When you find that what you are doing is what you love, what you were brought here to do, it makes for a rich and contented life. You've come into the rhythm with your longing. Your work and your action emerge naturally. You don't have to force yourself. Your energy is immediate. Your passion is clear and creative. A new calling can open the door into the house of your vision and belonging. You feel at home in your life. Heart and hearth are one. So this inner sanctuary that we carry with us allows us to then be connected no matter where we are, connected to the sense of home, because it's truly available within us at every moment. It also means that no matter what is going on around us in our lives or in the world, we carry this inner sanctuary with us. And when the world becomes too much, rather than shuffling off parts of ourselves that are tender or sensitive to it, we go into this inner sanctuary. We acknowledge the tenderness, and we allow ourselves to breathe once again into the peacefulness and the beauty of this inner sanctuary. So as you imagine it, you can populate it with all kinds of beauty. You might have books. You might have musical instruments. You might have lush, beautiful carpets or windows that look out on incredible gardens. You might have a pet. You might have music playing or incense or flowers, or you might have some kind of an outdoor pathway around it that's still a part of this inner sanctuary. Do you know what I mean? Are you aware of what I'm talking about here as I'm describing this? Does this make sense? You are, heaven is calling. Heaven is calling. You're all called. You're all called this morning. That playful little tune is your call to that greater beingness, that destiny. You know, to wake up, to not take it so seriously, to allow yourself to have your attention drawn to it. And then, like Linda did, to go and be responsive to that. Whatever that may be, wherever it may have come from, however it entered into the moment. So we're creating this inner blessedness, this place for ourselves that we can go to. The first time I did this, I was surprised to discover a little dog there. Like, it was not a dog I had ever met or seen. This fuzzy, fluffy little dog. And his name was Rags. And that's where he hangs out. He's always there in the inner sanctuary, little Rags. He'll come and get in my lap, sit by my feet, very content, never asked to be fed or walked, and doesn't have to have a pooper scooper. But, you know, it's a great thing to have this inner landscape begin to then give you things to have in it, to enjoy, to remember. There might be things in that inner sanctuary that you remember from your home when you were a child, something you valued and treasured, and you have no idea what happened to it or where it is now. But you might find it in your inner sanctuary. So I encourage you to create this little space and spend a little time in it every day. This is a true home, this place where you can go and be. And it's partly how we look at things that allows us to maintain this home no matter what's going on around us, no matter what's happening in the world, or even for us emotionally. That we can go into this inner place of rich beauty and peacefulness and rest there and regroup and remember the truth of what we know. Because as we remind ourselves of those truths, we anchor them more deeply in ourselves. And I want to complete by sharing this sweet little story with you this morning. The 92-year-old, petite, well-poised, and proud lady was fully dressed each morning by 8 o'clock with her hair fashionably coiffed and makeup perfectly applied, even though she was legally blind. She was moving into a nursing home. Her husband of 70 years had recently passed away, making the move necessary. After many hours of waiting patiently in the lobby of the nursing home, she smiled sweetly when she was told her room was ready. As she maneuvered her walker to the elevator, I provided a visual description of her tiny room, this nurse says, including the eyelet curtains that had been hung on her window. "I love it," she stated with the enthusiasm of an 8-year-old having just been presented with a new puppy. "But Mrs. Connolly," I said to her, "you haven't seen the room yet. Just wait." "That doesn't have anything to do with it," she replied. "Happiness is something you decide on ahead of time. Whether I like my room or not doesn't depend on how the furniture is arranged. It's how I arrange my mind. I've already decided to love it. It's a decision I make every morning when I wake up. I have a choice. I can spend the day in bed recounting the difficulty I have with various parts of my body that no longer work. Or I can get out of bed and be thankful for the ones that do. Each day is a gift, and as long as my eyes open, I'll focus on the new day and all the happy memories I've stored away for just this time in my life. Old age is like a bank account. You can only withdraw from it what you've put in. So my advice is to deposit a lot of happiness into your bank account of memories. Thank you for your part in filling in my memory bank." She winked and said, "I'm still making deposits." And then with a smile, she said, "I've found there are just 5 simple rules to be happy. Free your heart from hatred, free your mind from worries, live simply, give more, expect less." So let's take that within. At this moment, we allow appreciation to arise within us. At this moment, we extend gratitude for all of our memories, no matter how we've labeled them. At this moment, we appreciate the lifespan we have lived, the body temple we've been using, the friends and family that have influenced us, and all of the experiences that have lovingly come to serve and to shape us. We know that every bit of this is the divine presence expressed for us and as us and through us and in us. It is awe-inspiring, and we are gratitude personified. We live as gratitude now, extending our love out into the world, laughing, appreciating, responding to the call of the divine with each moment of appreciation, knowing that it blesses us, it uplifts those around us, and it allows our rich, full life to be felt, to be recognized, to be experienced more and more deeply. So with great gratitude, we claim this good for every person in this room. We claim it for ourselves. We claim it for everyone who has ever been a part of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, whether in or out of the body, for every person who will become associated here at any time, and for all those who have heard of this center and been inspired by it in any way whatsoever. We're deeply grateful to know of all of these connections of light that we're connected to bless them, to send them love, to release them from their false ideas and past mistakes, and to anchor ourselves in this present moment with both memory and gratitude. So, being grateful for all of this truth now, I let it go into the creative law of mind and spirit, where it is acted upon immediately, where it always says yes, where it moves toward the word spoken and fills it with form and being and experience. I let it go, and I simply let this word be now. And if you choose to claim it as well, join me in saying, and so it is. I invite you to stand and join me with the morning affirmation. The home of God is everywhere. As I am one with the infinite, when I'm centered in God, I am always at home. I choose to live in that presence at this moment and to remember that truth again and again. And so it is. You may be seated. This is our sacred offering time, so I'm going to invite the ushers to come forward as we prepare to receive the gifts. Our founder of this church, Center for Spiritual Living, Golden Gate, Reverend Dr. Lloyd Tepper, likes to say that we are empowered to be and responsible to be divine distributors of the good that has been given to us. And what that means to me is that anything that we give, whether it is money or gifts or kindness and energy or help and participation and work or prayer, whatever it is that we give, we want to be mindful of blessing it as we send it out. So if you're paying bills, bless all those companies that have entrusted whatever it was to you until you paid for it. Bless them as you send it out. Even when you pay your taxes, Bless your taxes. Send them out. If you have to grit your teeth to do it, that's fine. Bless them, send them out. Because as we bless everything that we send out, what it means is that everything that returns to us ultimately is also blessed, that it flows as a river of blessing. Now, if you're here for the first time this morning, your presence here is your gift to us. We're delighted that you're here. We look forward to seeing you in the future again. If anybody here or online would like to text to donate this morning, the number's on the screen, and you can give through PayPal to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living also. Easy to do either way, feel free. But no matter how we do it, this morning we're going to bless all the gifts that Golden Gate has received this past week, including those being given this morning. And so I invite you, whether you're giving today or you already have, to put your hands with your gift, if you're giving it today, over your heart, or hold it together with a loved one in your hands if you're giving it together, and say this blessing with us. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Ushers, please go ahead.
She is a boat, she is a light, high on a hill in dark night. She is a wave, she is the deep, she is the dark, where angels sleep when all is still and peace abides. She carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. And though I walk through valleys deep and shadows chase me in my sleep, on rocky cliffs I stand alone. I have no name, I have no home. With broken wings I reach to fly. She carries me to the other side. Do you want to sing with me? She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me to the other side. 1,000 arms, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 ears to hear my cries. She is the gate, she is the door. She leads me through and back once more. When day has dawned and death is nigh, she'll carry me to the other side. She carries me, she carries me, she carries me
And so, all of us together accept this offering on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. We are grateful, and we send it out into the world to bring blessing, to bring that sense of the inner sanctuary everywhere that it goes, beginning with us. And so it is. So I told you if you were here for the first time, you were going to learn a little bit more later. You will find that on the table, right back here, there are welcome packets. And those are available for you to take with you. They have inside them also a blue welcome card. If you fill this out and turn it in back there, well, we probably have to give you an IOU for the book today, don't we? Because I forgot to bring them. Do we have any more back there? No. Okay, we owe you a book. It's our gift, and thank you for your being here this morning. So please come back. You know, turn in the blue card, but come back. Let us know you were here, you didn't get your book, and I'll be happy to give it to you. It's a little book that is helpful no matter what's going on in your life to bring your attention back where it belongs. We're glad you're here. We look forward to seeing you in the future. And there are other goodies on that back table back there too. Feel free to help yourselves. I want to thank everybody who was here this morning to put everything together, especially Jennifer Berezin. And yes. And Leslie Giannetti, who did the morning prayer as well as the altar, and all of our setup team and our sound team. Thank you, everybody. Let's give them all a big hand. We are looking for folks to join the hospitality teams. This is really easy. These are the Sunday teams that greet you when you come in the front door. Make sure you get your program or any handouts that are needed. They're the ones that set up the snacks, although this morning snacks, I'm not sure we're doing snacks because we're having brunch with the fellas. And they do clean up and they receive the offering and all that good stuff. And they get to know people by doing that, by being out there. So it's only one Sunday a month. This is not a big deal, right? Now, Paula, who's responsible for the Sunday teams, is not here this morning. So please keep it in mind, and you'll see Paula the next time that you're here. This morning is the men's brunch. It's going to follow the service immediately afterward. It's only $10. They're doing eggplant parmesan and salad, and I don't know what all else out there this morning. Dessert and coffee, of course. So please feel free to join us. The proceeds go to Golden Gate. The guys always do a great job. They do all the setup. They do all the cleanup. They take care of everything. God bless them. And so wonderful things are going to be coming out here. I promise we'll turn the heat on as soon as the service is over so that you can eat in relative comfort. All right. Women's Drumming Circle is coming up this coming Wednesday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Unity in Marin. The information is up here. It is good right now to register in advance, so the link to register is there, but if you just go to unityinmarin.churchcenter.com, then you can look for the Women's Drumming Circle, and you can pre-register. The suggested love offering is $20, but no one's turned away. You can give any amount that works for you, and that's just fine. Jet Walker has lovingly and generously offered to host this year's Golden Gate Thanksgiving dinner at her house. And so Jet lives in Tiburon. She has a lovely home, and she's going to do the turkey and the ham. So the rest of us are doing the side dishes, the salads, the veggies, the desserts, the beverages. You can sign up at this table at the back this morning with what you would like to bring, and be sure and note also whether or not you will provide a ride or need a ride. We need to do carpooling, and we will be shuttling up the hill because there's very little parking at Jet's house. The last thing I want to say, and this may be the most important thing of all, if you sign up, show up. You know, it's very frustrating for somebody to create something for the number of people that have acknowledged they're going to be there and then have them not come. Don't change your mind. If you sign up, show up. You'll enjoy it. It'll be great. Come and join us for that. It's going to be wonderful. I also want to let you know, and I don't have a slide for this morning, that on December 4th, we are going to have a holiday arts and crafts fair, as we have in the past. If you're interested, talk to me after the service if you're interested in being a vendor. The tables are going to be $10 each for the vendors, with a tithe back from what you make at the fair, and the rest of it, the money is yours. Those tables will be set up at the back. Sophie Fleming is organizing it, but she's not here this morning. So talk to me if you're interested in being a vendor. Otherwise, come, bring your cash, enjoy the fair, and peruse the vendors and get a little bit of your Christmas shopping done early in December. The climate action tip of the week is that the Environmental Forum of Marin is doing a special workshop on Zoom on November 15th, which is Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And it's going to be teaching the ways that the indigenous people learn to value and tend to the land in ways that allow us to not co-opt their culture, but learn ways that we can use today to assist in supporting the earth. Now, it's $25 if you're not a member, $20 if you are. And there are donated tickets and scholarships available, so you can go to their website and find out more. And so the website is up there. That's where their registration is. But I think if you just Googled Environmental Forum of Marin, you would still find it, okay? I want to thank all of you that helped with the weekend cleanup and the at the shoreline, and those of you that helped with the food bank recently. Thank you for doing that. Also, I mentioned last week to you the Heifer Project and the possibility of donating to the Heifer Project. And I meant to actually bring a container this morning that we could use to receive those offerings, and I forgot. So here's what I'm going to suggest you do. If you would like to make an offering today toward the Heifer Project, I believe, I might be wrong about this too. I believe the suggestion box is over there where the coffee is set up. Is it, Suzanne? Okay. So put your donations for the Heifer Project into the suggestion box this morning. If you're doing a check, you can write to, let's see, Heifer International on it. Or no, write it to us because we will send one check to them for everything. But put in the memo that it's for the Heifer Project, okay? So we know that whatever animals or whatever we're providing this year, that money is for that, okay? And is that clear? Okay, excellent, wonderful, very good. So now, I want to remind you that prayer is what we do best around here, and we really believe in it. We have practitioners on duty this morning. Rick is here along with Trish. Not Trish. Trish is the one who's not here. Deborah's here. Trish didn't make it today. So we have Rick and Deborah over here. They're available to pray with you after the service. And don't worry, it'll take the guys a little while to set up the brunch. You won't miss anything. You can also put a prayer request in the box, and you can make prayer requests right from our website. Look for the resources tab. It's a drop-down menu, and you can find that right there. So we encourage you to avail yourselves of that. And now I want to invite you to stand and join me for the benediction and the closing song with Jennifer in just a moment. And I think that she has said that this closing song really is like a Buddhist blessing. So what we're doing as we sing this song with her is we're sending the blessing in waves out into the world, just like the energy I talked about earlier. So please join me in the benediction as we say, I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. All right.
I cannot turn my eyes. I cannot count the cost of all that has been broken, all that has been lost. suffering that life brings, war and hate and hunger, and a million other things. When I've done all that I can, and I vow to do my part, let sorrow be the doorway into an open heart, and the light on the hills is full of mercy. The wind in the trees, it comes to save me. This silence, it will never desert me. I long to hold the whole world in these arms. Please sing these lines and send them out with me. May all